She was born in 1933 in a small town in rural North Carolina. Look at this cutie. Growing up in Dunn, about 45 minutes from Raleigh. She wouldn't marry my dad until she finished grad school, and that was when most of her friends were getting their MRS degrees. She had 3 children who she stayed home and raised until I could drive, and then she went to work, and then boom, before she knew it, 8 grandchildren were part of her life, including my 3 right there. And there you are, Mama, with a bunch of them, and then of course with Gino Vanelli.
Yes.
How could I leave out the Gino Vanelli? Well, everyone, this is my mother, Jennie Montgomery, and I am delighted to have her with me on the show today. I've wanted to have Mama on for a long time because I admire her so much, because you were such a trailblazer, Mama. You know, you graduated from college in 1958, 55. 55. And then you were dating Daddy in grad school.
In grad school.
And you wouldn't get married. You wanted to graduate from grad school before you would marry him. And then you started your career and you worked for about 3 years, 4 years till I was born.
That's right.
And then you were full-time mom. And this is what I've always said. I feel like you had it all because you had your career, you had your family, you raised the family that was important to you.
Well, that was
and
a
then
priority.
you were able to go back and have a fantastic career after. How
At
how
age
did
45.
you do that? How did you do it?
Well, determination and happiness and wanting to feel like I was doing something worthwhile again. You children were all in school, and I was playing bridge, I was volunteering at the church and in the community
and at the school.
I was spending 40 hours a week just doing volunteer work. And I thought, there's got to be more than this. My children get out, all I do is taxi them to school and to their outside extracurricular activities.
Right.
Make sure they're fed nutritious diet and take care of all the details of being a mother and a wife.
Yeah.
And I love that role.
You did love that role.
But it was time to do more.
Yeah.
It was time to do more.
I think that it meant a lot to me when I saw you go back to work. It put responsibility on me because I could drive, and then I picked up some of that carpooling responsibility. But the one thing that I always saw you do, which I don't know how you did it, even when you went back to work, you still had dinner for us every night.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I don't know I don't know how you did that. I don't know how you worked and still had the dinners. But you were just amazing. But I did feel like you were just so lucky because you lived both those passions. I felt like I had to choose. I felt like I had to choose. One of the things that you said to me when I really knew that I thought I would stay home, and I tried to stay home for about 1.5 years, and then I knew that I couldn't do that, especially when I realized we were going to have 3 babies under 3. But you said to me something that was so important. You said, you will be a better mother, happy in your career, than you would be frustrated at home all day.
And that wise information came to me from the first full-time secretary I had in my first job before you were born. And she was a wonderful secretary, but she had a 12-year-old daughter and became pregnant with her second child. And she knew I was very idealistic because I wanted to be aware and present for all the psychological changes that come with children being born and growing up. And when she was getting ready to take her maternity leave, she came to me in my office and said, "Jennie, I know that you have a hard time accepting what I'm doing, but I know that I will be a much better mother if I come back to work and then go home in the afternoon and enjoy my children rather than feeling frustrated with them.
Yeah.
And I'll be a much better mother because I will be relaxed with them then, and I will enjoy those moments of growing.
Well, that's so important, and it was important for me. It was almost like you gave me permission, I felt, in a way.
I think in our culture at that time, most girls didn't need permission, because in our culture we were reared to choose a profession, yes. What do you want to be when you grow up? But most of the girls, particularly in my era, we went to college to get 2 degrees. To get the degree in our profession, or basically be a school teacher, and to get an MRS.
Yeah.
And there is nothing wrong with getting an MRS. I loved being married. It was a great adventure. It was a wonderful experience because 2 people learn to share with each other if they're committed to being in a marriage.
Yeah.
But there was also that part of me that came through my graduate years, and they were long and they were interesting, but I was in, of course, the field of social work and psychology, and when I got into all the psychology, I wanted to be there for those moments and to recognize them in my children.
Well, you were, and I'm certainly appreciative of that. One of the things you told me one time, I was really hesitant about a trip I was taking, and I had come downstairs, and I just decided I can't go. I was supposed to go to Charlotte and catch a plane, and I was dealing with some anxiety issues, and I didn't think I could do it. I said, I'm just not going, I can't go. And there had probably been a plane crash, because you know how that always kind of
Yes.
seems to happen.
Yes.
There's something. And you said to me, you probably didn't say it in these words, but you said the essence was, no guts, no glory. And I'm sure you said no intestinal fortitude, no glory. And what you meant was, there are things in life we just have to take a risk. You
Yes.
have to risk. Without that risk, there
There's
is
very
not reward.
little growth.
And growth, yeah.
And you asked me earlier how I managed to cook dinner in the evening
Yeah.
after working. And I will tell you, I guess I should have told you a long time ago, but I learned that you have to plan.
Yeah.
And I'm a person who likes to do things off the cuff. But in my work and teaching a lot of my clients in group therapy and what have you, there was a phrase that I like to use, and that is, if fail to plan.
Plan to fail. Yeah.
And that's really important.
You told me something that was really important one time, and it was when I was expecting my second baby, Maddie. And I remember feeling, how am I ever going to love anything like I love this first baby? And I was really afraid, will I be able to love another baby? And you said, the heart just grows and grows. Your heart just makes more room. And I think that until I had other children, I didn't understand what that meant.
Well, it is so important to realize that. And each child is different, but you love them, each one, for who they are. And the biggest mistake is trying to say each one has to be equal. Each one is an individual. And the love you give them is very nurturing and very good. But it is so rewarding when you see their response to you.
Yeah.
And
What about when you see your grandchildren? I mean,
oh
you
my
have 8
goodness.
grandchildren
I have
spread
8
around the
grandchildren.
country.
And that love just resurfaces and it regenerates and it grows. It's like an amoeba that spreads out. And if you nurture those relationships with your children and your grandchildren, that helps them grow. Oh, there are a lot of thorns along the way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
There are a lot of
there
thorns.
are definitely thorns.
But you have to realize that the love you have is so strong that it transcends and helps you get over the adversity, and then you become a stronger person.
Do you think that you were surprised? You had been a widow for many, many years when you had a nice relationship with Earl.
Yes.
You'd been a widow a long time.
16 years.
Did you think that you would fall in love again? Did you think you would love somebody again?
I always wanted to love somebody again because the love I shared with your father was so important that a large part of me was missing. And that comes through relationships that are honest, relationships that are very respectful, in which you know that you want the best for each other and you don't want to hurt each other. And when you see you're hurting each other, that's the time to put the brakes on and stop and say, hey, wait a minute. I have to change this. And the strength of the love helps you change that. Because if it is a shared love, it will be your support. But you still get angry.
Yeah.
You still get
There are a lot
disappointed
of
at times.
emotions within love.
And it's not a 50-50 contract.
Yeah.
At times it's 90-10. And at times it feels like it's 99-1. But strong women have a difficult time realizing that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when they do, they know how to backtrack and readjust and go from there.
Do you feel that you were just blessed to be able to have two people that you loved in your life?
Oh, that was the greatest blessing I've had. To know that, my goodness, I'm 86 years old. And to have such a wonderful relationship of sharing, of traveling, of learning so much about nature, about people, about each other. Mm-hmm. There's so much there if you will only buy into it.
You know, you are a lifelong learner. That's very important to you. You've always
Yes.
been a learner. Your faith is very important to you. You've always been in the church. And the other thing that you have always talked about being so important to you are your friendships. And I want to talk for just a minute about your friendship with Sybil. There you are with Sybil recently. That was just a few weeks ago.
Lovely person.
And you have so many good friends. Mary Jane is another one of your close friends. And you and Mary Jane, there she is, here in Augusta when she came to a luncheon at my church, Aldersgate Methodist, one time with you.
Yes.
And you and Mary Jane were actually born the same day, the same year. You're exactly
she was
the
12
same
hours
age.
older.
She's 12 hours older than you. Both of these women you have been friends with, Mama, since you were in your 30s.
52 years.
Wow.
Friends with each of them. And the friendships are strong. They will weather the storms that come because they are sincere. And because we love each other and respect each other, we can't let hurting each other last too long. We disagree a lot. We step on each other's toes. But you know, we can't stand not to have our friendship. And I sort of think of our life like, sometimes like a garden, where you plant your seeds, you have to nurture, you have to water, you have to fertilize. That's all nurturing. And relationships have to be nurtured the same way. And the worst thing is a pseudo relationship, is pretending.
Well, it's just not worth the time.
No, it
It's
isn't.
not worth the time. And that's one thing that I really am sensitive to. The older I get, time is the only thing I control. How I spend my time is about the only thing I can control, and I am not interested in fake. Not interested in it.
Well, I think as you age and as you grow older, I think it's true we become wiser in many areas of our life. And I think of it as sort of, all my yesterdays, that's the history. But whatever I do now or today is sowing a seed for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I want to have many tomorrows.
Right.
That's extremely important to me. But I read something a week ago in one of my little devotional books that sort of hit me right in the center of my heart. It may be trite for some people, but it was this: take in joy. Just think about that 3-letter word, joy. Take in joy. It's a woman's best cosmetic. And I think that's true, but the whole of it is this. If you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm going to take in joy, you automatically smile and you set the tone. And if you can keep that 3-letter word in front of you and you can give that to others, it makes your day very happy.
Exactly.
And it will give you
Exactly.
smiling wrinkles, not frowning wrinkles. And I like that.
You're exactly right. Joy is one of my words, and you're exactly right about that. I think the other thing, too, there's a line from Hamilton
Yes.
that says that, talking about when you love and when you have children and when you pass on advice and when you're doing all these things, you are planting a seed in a garden you'll never see grow, but your legacy is planted.
Absolutely.
And I love that when you think about, too, all the things that we learn, that we pass on. You're so great to be with me. I wish we had lots of time. I wish we had the whole show. And I'm so glad that you shared some of these things with me, Mama, and that you talked to
Well, I'm
to
so
our
glad
viewers.
that I had the privilege of being your mother and that I still am your mother and thoroughly enjoy the paths you have taken in your life.
Well, you have been, it wouldn't have happened without you. And I've always said that the biggest blessing was just being born to you and Daddy.
Thank you.
The biggest blessing was just nothing I had anything to do with, just by virtue of my birth, because I was born into a family where I was wanted. And
You certainly
thank
were.
you for the love. Thank you for the love.